You went to school till I go. Things you never do before.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Durham Toastmasters podcast with your host, Joe Wadowski. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Joe Wadowski. That's me. I'm talking, and I was playing the music on my phone trying to get it right. I don't know if I did it right. Hey, welcome to today's Durham Toastmasters podcast. This is actually the first podcast I've ever done, and I'm excited about it. I hope you are as well. Today's topic is, without getting into further detail, is I am curious Durham Toastmasters. A lot of people ask a lot of questions. I get questions from all over the world, all over the country about Durham Toastmasters. What is it all about? What's happening? What is Durham Toastmasters? I can tell you anything, but I thought what I would do is go to the mailbag and see what kind of questions are coming from the curious people that are out here in the world to talk about Durham Toastmasters. Let's see what the first question is, the first question from the mailbag. Let's see here. Oh, is this some kind of cult? It is. This is the best kind of cult. This is not that crazy kind of, sacrificial kind of stuff going on in the cult world. This is a cult of people that get together and want to have a good time, but also at the same time learn something and have a commonality about giving speeches or doing public speaking. But it's even more important than that. And it's actually, there are a lot more details to Toastmasters, and more specifically Durham Toastmasters. If there's going to be any cult that you can join, this is the cult that you should be joining. And I think some of the other questions that come up here in the mailbag will talk a little bit more about that. So let's see what's next on the mailbag. Okay, here we go. This is from a newbie from Newark. What should I expect when I first arrive at the meeting? Great question, newbie from Newark. The idea is that we want a welcoming environment, that when you show up for the meeting at the first time or any time you show up, we're going to have somebody there to greet you, to talk to you, to kind of give you a little inside scoop of that day's meeting, where to sit, where the restrooms are at, give you a beverage, hang out, and kind of give you sort of that comfy feeling that we want to make sure that you understand that this is a great place to be. And a lot of people that do come in are a little bit apprehensive. They're not quite sure what to expect. And we have gotten comments from several folks that visit us saying this is a great, warm environment. People are friendly. And it was much more supportive than they actually anticipated anything being that they've been to before. So that's what you should be expecting when you first arrive at the meeting. Well, let's go see what the next question is. We'll go to the mailbag one more time. I'm not sure if it's one more time. Maybe it's a few more times. We'll see how much time we have. How is the meeting organized and conducted? Signed, Confused from Buffalo. Well, Confused. I will tell you, this question is probably the best question of the evening because this is the one thing that people have no idea what Toastmasters can do for them if they're the uninitiated. What I'd like to do is spend a few minutes here to go over some of the details when it comes to how a meeting is organized and how it's conducted. Everybody here at the Durham Toastmasters has a role. Now, it could be anything from giving a speech to giving evaluations to being the Toastmaster, which I'll explain here in a second. But also, if you don't have those roles, if you haven't signed up for that previously, and again, we'll have another podcast we'll talk about how to sign up for roles and what they're involved in. But basically, everybody has a role, including the people, the audience that's listening and responding to the speeches. After all, the person giving the speech is giving it to you, and they want to make sure that you enjoy it, that you get something from it. So you have a role, even if you're a guest and you're visiting and you're not participating at all in a specific role. The role of an audience is extremely important. But I will tell you that we are fairly well organized when it comes to a meeting. Most folks that we've talked to, guests that have come in, are really surprised how organized it is. We actually have a written out or a typed out agenda that is copied and given to everybody that comes into the room. And the agenda follows a very specific time frame from start to finish. We generally start about 6:30, 6:45, depending on uh, the meeting itself. We meet and greet everybody at 6:30. At 6:45, we start the meeting on time, and the agenda shows for that. Let's go over what's on the agenda or what roles are being spelled out on the agenda. First of all, there's the club president. The club president's there pretty much every meeting, and he or she will give an overall view of Toastmasters and also will also uh, uh, it's not easy giving these podcasts sometimes. We get a little tongue tied, and this is what happens to anybody giving speeches. But the club president introduces the Toastmaster. Thank you very much. Maybe we can edit this out later. No? Okay, great. Anyway, that was my engineer. The club president introduces the Toastmaster. The Toastmaster is sort of your master of ceremonies. This person is the one that keeps everybody on time, keeps things organized, and has transitions in between the speeches and the other roles that are going to be described here in a second. The Toastmaster is the lead person for the evening, sets the tone, and also just, in generally speaking, keeps things going. Everybody at some point needs to be a Toastmaster in a meeting. It's really a great skill to have, especially if at work or any kind of events that you're putting on. This gives you the practice and the skills to be able to pull those type of things off. So Toastmaster is one of the key roles in all of our meetings. Next up, we have a timer. Now the timer is throughout the meeting keeping up with everybody's time of the speech or any kind of timed activity like evaluations. In order to properly make sure that everybody gets done on time, but also more importantly, can condense their speech into a specific time frame to give the best articulate, thorough speech without going way over and being so boisterous and loud and ongoing. Sort of like I get that feedback sometimes on myself. A timer will time the speeches. They could be anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes, from 5 to 8 minutes. It all depends on the type of speech it is, but the timer will give the parameters prior to the speech, so you will all know what's on there. Also, if you are within the time frame, you qualify for a special prize at the end of the evening, at least a consideration. Timer, extremely important, especially in a tight meeting. Next up, we have a grammarian, another role that's very important. Perhaps maybe as you were listening to me, you may have heard some filler words. I try really hard not to do that. Do you know what a filler word is? A filler word is something that you interject in between the words, the sentences that you're speaking with things like ah, you know, so, those type of words where people's thought process is being interrupted and they want to try to gather their thoughts. The grammarian will notate those, will not stop you during the speech, but notate it. And at the end of the meeting, give a grammarian report to let you know how well you did as far as those filler words and other types of things that we will train people on to notice and take advantage of. Another role is a humorist. It's a really simple thing. And the word is a filler word. The humorist will get up and tell a humorous story, a joke, something to lighten the mood to get things going. So first of all, you got the club president, then they introduce the Toastmaster, and the Toastmaster will introduce the humorist. Not a timed thing, just to get up there and tell a little funny story, a joke, etc., just to keep the mood light and keep it going. Next up, to be introduction of the word master. Word master comes up with 2 to 3 words that are common English words, but maybe not used on a daily basis all the time. They give a definition of each one of those words, uses it in a sentence, and then challenges everybody at the meeting whenever they have a speaking role to perhaps use those words, that word or words, throughout the evening in a proper context. This not only does it give you an opportunity to use that in proper context, but also you might learn something new that evening and use it on your friends to impress them the next day. Word master is another role that is very important and fun and short. And it's great. It's a great way to start out with the club if you want to pick up a role in some of your first meetings. Then there's the table topics master. The table topics master is a person that deals with impromptu speaking. They will have a topic or two that they know in themselves, but will call on for volunteers to come out and, without knowing it, until the time they step up in front of everybody, and they'll give them the topic, something like, if there was a movie made of your life, who would be the star of that movie and why? And then that person would give a speech without any preparation about that topic. And again, that is a timed topic as well. That's a lot of fun, and it's a great way of being able to develop a skill of, in case you're called in a meeting, at a meeting or at a wedding, to give a small speech, or somebody come, hey, Billy, come on up here and talk about whatever. You are prepared and ready to go. There's a technique behind it, and we have a lot of our new folks volunteer for this when they come to visit. So visitors are definitely welcome to participate in table topics. And of course, next up is our speakers. We have anywhere from 1 to 4 speakers every evening, every time we have a meeting. And those speakers have a time parameter. They also have specific topics. Not going to go into detail today, but we do, of course, have speakers. That's the core of what we do. But even more importantly, we have evaluators. We have a general evaluator. That's a person who kind of looks over the whole meeting itself, make sure did it start on time, was it proper protocol. They also introduce the evaluators. And the evaluators are the people that give evaluations to the speeches. This is probably the most important part of Toastmasters. Anybody can get up and give a speech, but if you don't get feedback, how do you know how to improve? Evaluators, that's what they do. They're also timed as well, and they also can qualify for awards and recognitions for the rest of the evening. Everybody there has a little ballot they fill out and vote for who they think are the best speeches, the best table topics, and also the best evaluations. And then we do a little drum roll at the end of the evening, and we announce it, and hopefully we stop on time at the end of the meeting. This is a brief outline of what that question was about, how the meeting is organized, and I think that's probably the biggest thing, the biggest surprise that most folks get when they come into the meeting and at the end of the meeting go, wow, I've never seen anything as organized as this. I've not seen this at work, never seen it at school. So we're very proud of how we conduct our meetings here at Durham Toastmasters. I think we have maybe time for one more question. Let me see here. Okay, this one's a little strange. This one is like, I'm about culture. I don't mean like milk culture, but like, real people culture. So tell me, how is the culture, the culture of the club, not culture club? Signed, a guy who's curious about culture. Hey, culture curious guy. Listen, this is probably one of the best clubs I've ever belonged to. I've been to a few Durham Toastmasters club. This is the most diverse group of folks and fun group of folks and supportive group of folks that I've ever worked with Toastmasters or even in business. This is a place that you're hopefully feeling welcomed, that you get good support, and everybody wants to see everybody succeed. I think that's probably one of the best qualities of Durham Toastmasters is the positive culture. So, guy who is culture curious, if you ever have a chance to come out here and visit, hopefully you'll notice that and see that as well. Well, looks like I'm out of time. I'm sure I'm over time because that's what I do. Our next podcast is going to have a topic of I am curious pathways. What is pathways? Well, it's a simple guide for online and ongoing Toastmaster improvement. Talk about that more later on. Now, we do meet at Harris Beverages in Durham, North Carolina. And if you guys ever want to come by and visit, the information on the screen is going to tell you that we meet in person at Harris Beverages 3505 Hillsborough Road in Durham. Guests come at 6:30. We start at 6:45 with the meeting. And then if you prefer, we do have a link to our website to join us on Zoom. Thank you so much for joining me for this first podcast with Durham Toastmasters. I hope you guys have a great evening, a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Any comments, shoot us an email. And I'm not going to give you the email yet because I have no idea where to send that. Have a great night. Take care.